Three, two, one. Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by my colleague Niall tonight to discuss a performance essentially and what's next for one of the, judging by the bookies, one of the bigger upsets from the December 23rd Day of Reckoning card. Niall, we're here to talk about Joseph Parker and what's next for Parker. But first off, thank you for joining me tonight and how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I hope you're well. Had a nice Christmas, and yeah, we're on a bit of a boxing come down. Never mind just the Christmas come down after the last few weeks of big fights. So yeah, it'd be interesting to discuss now what's next for Parker.
Yeah, I think, like I say, it was a Christmas present, the Day of Reckoning card. And I'm sure for a lot of people, if you followed myself and Niall's betting tip show of Joseph Parker on points, it would have been an even happier Christmas. But yeah, Niall, first off, before we look at potentially what's next for Joseph Parker, what did you make of his performance? What do you think he done well? Do you think he executed his game plan how you expected him to execute it? And just a general summary of the fight and Joseph Parker's performance.
I thought Parker fought excellently, really well. He executed his game plan perfectly. You know, they say about Deontay Wilder, he wasn't himself, and maybe he had one foot out the door the way he fought conservative, but even still, he's one of the most dangerous fighters of our lifetime. So it only takes one second. So I thought Parker done really well, executed his game plan perfectly. The left jab, particularly to the body, the left jab, then the overhand right all night caused Wilder a world of problems. And he managed to stay out of that dangerous range of the right hand. So yeah, I thought he fought really well. Just a quick one, I thought in the corner between rounds, the early rounds, when Andy Lee would say to Parker, "Oh, it's easy work," when he was having it so comfortably, it's easy work. I was almost looking through my fingers at that because, a Wilder just takes 1 second to turn it around. But yeah, he managed to execute the game plan all the way through, and yeah, I thought he fought really well, to be honest. And it was quite a sizable upset because I know you called it right yourself. Fair play, you got the tip right, but I thought Wilder was going to knock him out, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agreed with yourself because it was a case of Parker was always going to outbox him, but it was how long he can keep that up for, and it was almost inevitable that he got caught. However, I think Parker did surprise Wilder. Round eight, that overhand right. I was discussing that with at work today, where an elite level heavyweight should realistically have seen that big overhand right coming. He's bouncing on his toes, he's loaded it up, he's come all the way through, and you'd expect someone like Fury, AJ's, Usyk's, even usually Li Zhang's, etc. I'd be expecting them to see that coming and move out the way, but here we are. It's interesting because we look at what's next for Joseph Parker. Obviously, Parker's already fought AJ. Um, we all know what happened there. But it's a case of AJ and Wilder had practically agreed to fight next. So obviously that's a massive spanner in the works. But let's be realistic here. The world titles are tied up between Fury and Usyk. There's a rematch clause, so they're out the equation until sort of early next year, unless one of the bouts is stripped. Now Parker's beaten Wilder, what do you think is ideal for Joseph Parker's career next? Because I've been quite critical. Obviously he's going on a good winning streak now, but who do you think would be the ideal next fight? And then I'll lead that question up to another question of who do you think he will fight next? So two slightly different questions. So it's a case of who you think he should fight next, but who you think he will actually fight next, because it's still a bit of a mess of a division, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a good question because the aftermath of their reckoning has left a lot of options, to be honest, for Joseph Parker, and it has thrown the spanner in the works. They were setting up for AJ Wilder. Now they're saying, could Parker fight AJ? If I was to be kind of put my personal feelings to it, we've seen it, and it wasn't the best fight, so I wouldn't be kind of clamoring to see that again. Could it be work out differently? Possibly, but it wouldn't be first on my list for him to fight. The one fight I would like to see would be the big man from China that not a lot of people are mentioning in the aftermath of the card. Zhang. I think I'd love to see him fight Joseph Parker. I think Zhang is a big problem for anybody, even the top elite heavyweights. You know, with his size and his ability and his speed and power, he's just a major problem. So I think Zhang and Parker would be a great stylistic matchup next. You know, they're both kind of that's to see who will springboard to a world title shot after that. They're both very fringe world level after the wins they've just had. You know, they're both holding the two best wins outside the champions, to be honest. So yeah, Parker versus Zhang for me, I would like to see next, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more than fair. There's names being thrown into the mix. Hergovich fighting Mark Demori was an embarrassment, to be honest, but he's still a name in the mix. He's got that controversial win over Zhang Zhang, and Zhang Zhang's stock is at an all-time high. So it's an open division again. Do you think Joseph Parker can fight for a world title again?
I certainly do. It's as you mentioned, the belts are tied up at the minute, and they will be for till at least 2025, probably. So, you know, if you're not named Fury or Usyk, you won't be challenging anytime soon. But if Parker keeps active, and he was to beat Zhang, or he's to beat even maybe Daniel Dubois or someone like that, you know, who also had a good win in the day reckoning card, there's no reason why he can't be next in line. You know, he's one win away from being kind of next in line for a title course, there's Hergovich and AJ battling it out for mandatory positions with the IBF. But, you know, other than that, I think, yeah, why not? If he stays active, though, is the key. You know, Wilder, the inactivity seemed to play a part in his performance there, too. So, yeah, hopefully Parker stays active.
Yeah, I think he has to stay active at this point of his career. He's putting a bit of a win streak together, and the Wilder win is a massive win to get him back going again. Finally, I think you've briefly covered it. I know it's not necessarily something you'd be particularly interested in, but trajectory wise, AJ is now on a three-fight win streak. He knocked out Hellenius in which he had some trouble. It was a boring fight against Jermaine Franklin, but then he looked vicious again against Overlin. So he's on a win streak. Joseph Parker himself, he's been to not necessarily Hallenbach, but he had that tough fight against Joe Joyce, which I thought would have took a lot out of him. But now he's on a four-fight win streak, with two stoppages, and a massive win over Wilder. So finally, for yourself tonight, Niall, do you see AJ and Joseph Parker rematching in the future?
I don't, to be honest. And as I say, it's not just because I wouldn't kind of be into seeing that fight. It's because I can see AJ fighting Filip Hergovich next, and battling it out for that mandatory position. So that's why I can't kind of see a Parker rematch happening. The fact we already have seen it before as well. So I think yeah, it'll be AJ Hergovich next, and I do think Parker will fight Zhang. But there's also another kind of option that you mentioned there. It was almost a forgotten man. Is Joe Joyce. Maybe he'll have a Joe Joyce rematch, and the momentum has swung from the last time with Joyce coming off the two bad defeats, and
Mhm.
Parker riding the kind of greatest momentum of his career. So that'd be intriguing as well. So I think AJ versus Hergovich next, and Parker versus either Zhang or Joe Joyce in a rematch.
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. Although the belts are tied up, it's an open landscape for that number one contender spot. Who knows? We could see Fury Usyk, and then after that fight, although there's the rematch, you could see the IBF say you need to defend against the number one or we strip you. The same with the WBO. It just seems the WBC and the WBA are going to be the ones that aren't necessarily too bothered regarding all the bouts being tied up. But it's a discussion. If you'd have told me sort of 4 or 5 months ago, would we be having this tonight? I'd have said absolutely not. But that's heavyweight boxing. It can all end in one punch, and at the moment, it's all over the place with AJ looking like he's back, Joseph Parker looking like he's back, Wilder looking like he's finished. It's an interesting landscape. It's back open now. It's over almost in control of the Saudis. Um, who knows what we'd see? We might see another heavyweight card like this again, and almost a round robin tournament. But Niall, thank you for joining me tonight. Let us know in the comments below, guys, if you think me and Niall have hit the nail on the head with some of the predictions. if you can see any of the fights mentioned were happening, or if you see anyone else coming up within the heavyweight landscape causing problems, like, subscribe, comment below. And once again, Niall, thank you for joining me tonight.
Cheers. Thank you. Take care.